Stockholm is famous for Gamla stan and the Vasa Museum, but some of the city's best places are the ones many visitors overlook. Today I show you my favorite parks, viewpoints, cafes and local food spots that make Stockholm worth visiting. Join me.
Welcome to another day in Stockholm. Today we start at Gamla stan and the beautiful part of Riddarholmen, where we will see some of the quite interesting sites here. To get a perspective of where we are, you can see on the other side here, maybe if you see in the background, the red boat that I stayed in the past, but also the viewpoints above it. So this is Riddarholmen, a bit more quiet place than the rest of Gamla stan. You can see the Riddarholmen church in renovation. Beautiful but quiet area. Excuse me, it's called Mälardrottningen. So it's basically a yacht that you can stay at. It's quite famous. And from here you get pretty good views of the city hall that I also visited in the past. I think these are actually one of the best views of it. And here below you see one of Sweden's most beloved composers, Evert Taube, who wrote a lot of songs about being a sailor and trips, but also about Stockholm in general. Okay, let's see if we can get up here and get some views from above. I think this place is quite beautiful actually. So this is the main reason people come to Riddarholmen, to see this place. And of course the church. Some beautiful houses here for sure. And here's the magnificent church. Even if it's closed, I think you can still see it from the outside. I certainly think this is one of the most beautiful churches in Stockholm actually. And I like this square. The entire square is just very peaceful, very large, with beautiful architecture. In my opinion, this is the most beautiful part actually of Gamla stan, even if it's a bit less touristy. What's quite interesting about Riddarholmen actually is, and quite sad, is that it's cut off from the rest of Gamla stan because of this highway. It is very noisy. All right, let's move on. And this building over here, you see on this side, is actually Riddarhuset. It's the house of the noble. And this is their house. I think you can visit it if you want, if you book an appointment. It's quite pompous. The house of the nobles, Riddarhuset. So that was Riddarholmen. The next spot I want to show you is actually a food spot. Let's see if it's open. Come on. So this is Strömmingvagnen, a pretty curious place actually, because it's the only one of its kind. They fry Baltic herring and they serve it on a rye bread. So let's see. Let's try it. Hej, kan man beställa en skåning? Perfekt. So this is how it looks like. Herring, some onion, and dill, I think, persilla on the rye with the mustard sauce. Let's give this a try. This is really nice. And it's so typical Swedish, I think, even if it's this the only place that sells it. So this building over here is actually the Swedish Parliament building, located between Gamla stan and the city center. It's quite iconic, I think, with its round shape. Secret pass under the bridge for the politicians. Another iconic spot is the old Swedish castle. It's not used anymore for the noble family, but it's perhaps the most famous castle in Stockholm. Even Sweden have guards. This is the main courtyard of the castle. Very grandiose. What I wanted to show was actually this little park. It's called Strömparterren, and it's kind of hidden in plain sight. Most tourists miss it because they're busy watching the parliament and the castle, and they miss this place, which is actually quite peaceful, quite beautiful, and well kept. All those flowers, the fountain. We even have a little bridge here that you can sit on this iconic statue. They also have a cafe. Don't know if it's open. Pretty nice and cozy, I think. Some good use of the water. So if you have your ways around here, this area is actually worth checking out. It's called Strömparterren. They don't really build houses like this anymore, do they? Just look at this building. So well decorated. This is Klarakvarteren. Kind of boring area with mostly offices and not so much to do. But once upon a time it was actually a very busy area. But in the 50s and 60s they demolished most of the area and just made these bank buildings, commercial stores, shopping area, offices, and this is what is left of it. But there's one place actually that still stands, and I'm going to show you this in a minute. So one of the few remaining buildings in this area is actually Klara Church, which is a very old church with this tall spire. It's quite iconic in this neighborhood. This is Åhléns department store. It's one of the most popular department stores in Stockholm. Åhléns department store became the face of the new Stockholm. It was modern, fresh, and futuristic. But there's something I want to show you inside of it. Follow me. It has a restaurant here. Wow, so many bottles. Hey, hey. And of course it has a rooftop bar. Let's take a look. So this is the rooftop bar of Åhléns, the department store. It actually is an Italian restaurant here. I think we got a pretty good view actually of the street and of the church, Klara kyrka. So this is the central part of Stockholm, with its trains, buses, and Sergels Torg, and also House of Culture that I visited before. So this is a cool place if you want to eat something. You can also enjoy the beautiful views from this quite magnificent restaurant actually. Okay, this is Vetekatten, an historical Swedish cafe. So let's have a Swedish fika. Very historical, very old school, also very popular. They both make bread and these classic Swedish pastries and cakes. This is this famous Swedish prinsesstårta with marzipan. This appears to be their own cake. I think we got most things. This is Budapest bakelse, Napoleon bakelse. And some classic pastries. So I went for the classic prinsesstårta with a standard coffee. That's the perfect Swedish fika, I think. Let's give this a try. This is obviously one of Sweden's most famous cakes. Marzipan, vanilla, cream, and some kind of strawberry. So what is Swedish fika anyway? It's a break from the norm. Either if you take a break from normal life or from work, and have a coffee and some sweets, maybe some pastry or a cake, and you focus on something else for a while. And I think this particular pastry, the princess, is typical Swedish, so that's why I picked it. And this particular cafe is like an institution in Sweden. It's very old and traditional, and it's one of the most famous in Stockholm, so that's why I came here today. So this is Norra Bantorget, historical square and spot that was used for a lot of things. It's particularly famous for the labor movement and different unions that have their square here. And this is, of course, Hjalmar Branting monumentet that we will take a closer look at. Very Soviet-like, and again he was a socialist and a former prime minister of Sweden. Remember that guy that was incarcerated in Långholmen? That's him. So this particular area used to be a part of Stockholm where the train stopped. At least there used to be a station called Norra Station in this area, and when it closed and lost its significance, instead there was a bus terminus here. So there used to be more things to do here right now than it is at this moment. So that's why I would say that it is kind of like a forgotten spot that could have been more adventurous than it is at the moment. Just look at it. This is the old train station. No longer functioning as a train station, but I think it's a restaurant today. I don't actually know what it's used for, but it's still around. You can see that this area was once significant for the trains that came here. So old and new, which one is better? And this hostel generator is probably the cheapest place in all of Stockholm to sleep. So if you have watched this far, please do me a favor, hit the like button, comment and subscribe for more content like this in the future. Thank you. This is a quite interesting area also. It was part of a hospital, Sabbatsberg, I think. I don't know what it's used for anymore, but it has a quite historical significance. So just take a closer look to this area and see what we find. I think this was one of the main buildings for the hospital when it was actually functioning. So this whole area is today part of the much larger Vasaparken, a pretty big park in the borough of Vasastan. So it's similar to those parks I've been visiting before. And basically a city park. Let's take a deeper look at it, see what there is to do. Oh, they even have a yoga pavilion. That's unusual. Oh, I love this open space here where you can play football, and I think you can also play hockey here in the winter. I think this is the best part of the park actually. Here's another cafe also, you can sit and have a coffee in the summer. And this is Gustav Vasa Church, one of the most beautiful in Stockholm, I think. It's located in Odenplan, so it's quite visible, but a lot of people miss how it looks like from the inside. So let's go and take a deeper look. I just wanted to show you this part, the cupola, which is quite unusual here in Sweden. It really does stand out. even from the inside. That's what makes it quite unique among Swedish churches, I think. So right now we're in the borough of Vasastan, and this is one of the most northern boroughs of central Stockholm. And this particular area was actually known as Siberia because it was the northernest part of Stockholm. I'm going to show you something quite cool. So follow me to the next destination. So this is Vanadislunden, one of the northest points of Stockholm. But the reason I'm here, it's not actually because of the park, it's because of the views. Here you find yet another church. It's called Stefan's Church. Under renovation, it seems. You can actually swim here. There's some pools. Pretty cool. So what is this really strange castle on top of this hill? It's actually a water reservoir, and I think it's still in use actually. But I think when it comes to the shape of it, it really looks like a castle. It's quite interesting that they built something so particular for something for the industry. Yeah, I think the views are quite good actually. The only thing that kind of bothers me is the vegetation. So many trees that are covering the good spots here actually. And in a way I think this park kind of fits the description of a forgotten spot a bit, because it could have been much more nicer and well maintained than it is at this moment. So this is Wennergren Center. It's under renovation right now, but it was actually once the tallest building in Stockholm. And the negative thing here is this highway that stands between this last stretch of Stockholm. What fascinates me more about this place is that also the surrounding buildings that were built for the workers of this office building are quite unique for its time. This particular area kind of stands out. It is constructed almost as a horseshoe, and this is where all the workers for this company used to work and live. So the whole idea was that people work and live at the same place. Okay, I just talked to a lady here that lives in this place, and she said that these houses are built for or are used for students or PhD graduates. And this is a former school, also built in the modernist era, with its quite distinctly architecture. I don't think it's used the way it used to be used. Maybe it's still a school, I don't know. It looks kind of empty actually. Take a look inside. Okay, so this is still a school. But it's not used. There's nothing here. I don't know if you can see, but everything is not in order. Either it's being reconstructed somehow, or they don't know what to do about it. Either way, a quite interesting building, I think. And it could be used for so many things. If they don't want to have it as a school, it could actually be used for people to live here, maybe from some students. I don't know, what do you think? So now we are at Parken, and it's actually the northernest part of Stockholm from this side. And it's quite fascinating in a way, because it feels very different than the place we just came from. This is a really peaceful area actually. Almost feel like you're back in time. And if you go here further, there is a museum. There's a cafe. Kind of old school. Can play some ball here, I think. Can even sit inside. This is me in the winter. And there is some kind of theater event here, I guess. A hidden spot for sure. This is actually August Strindberg, sculpted by Carl Eld. He's actually one of Sweden's most famous authors. I think this is the best spot for views here actually. And this is the end of Stockholm. So we come to the end, not only the end of this walk, but the end of Stockholm's borders also. So there's no better way to close this video by showing the beautiful harbor and all the boats, which also is typical for Stockholm. So if you like this video, make sure to drop a like and comment, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.